I'm not sure how many of you are working in this area, but this is my research area, image processing plus computational intelligence. So I'll be giving some inputs to you, which is not going to be conventional, but completely unconventional. And the background, you can see my university, lush, green, far away from pollution and all the traffic. Yesterday when I reached Delhi, I thought whether I was in an alien land or some different part of the world. So if time permits, definitely I will invite most of you. For others, if time permits, do give a visit to our university. Deep South, excellent place, you can relax and enjoy. This is something about me. Already they would have written the biography and the number of publications, size, corpus, which I want to highlight is 73, among which I have 23 sci-index journals alone, with my cumulative impact factor greater than 30. If you take my profile and see, among these 23, at least more than 15 or 16 are with first author. In the sense, the contribution I have done for the papers is around 90%. Right? That also gives you an additional information that I have written the code, I have written the paper, I will do everything, submission right from writing the code till the submission, it is completely with me. I am a researcher and I am also a speaker. That's what I want to inform you. And also I have completed one project with CSIR in 2014, and only 1 week back I have been sanctioned another project from DST. It is also with unconventional soft computing techniques for diabetic retinopathy image analysis. So morning sir, Anita sir told how difficult it is to get a project, right? So only if you have sufficient number of publications in your backdrop, people will be impressed about your research work's quality and you may get a chance to get a fund. So first focus, if you are a beginner, try to focus on your publications, automatically everything will follow. And I'm going to put everything in a nutshell. I'm not going to deal anything in detail, right? I'll give you the basic ideas. I'm not going to read the slides and you will get some inputs from what I'm going to present. Morning we came across 3 keynote talks and mostly all the 3 keynote talks are somewhat theoretical in nature, but what I'm going to present you is completely mathematical in nature, right? Some people may get disturbed when they use the word mathematical, but that's what all engineering is all about. Right? So the basic level, the depth, right? I will start from the depth and tell you what are the things I have done. Maybe at some point of time it will give you a spark to proceed research further in this area. So this work, the work which I'm going to present is in collaboration with a hospital from Coimbatore, KG Hospital. It is one of the world-renowned hospital. Some of you will be knowing about that, right? The doctors gave the problem to me. I am solving that. I am giving a solution to them. They are not satisfied. They give me the feedback and this process keep on continuing. And it is also in collaboration with CSIR, my completed project, right? So the idea is, morning we saw many automated systems are AI-based systems. How to develop an AI or automated system for assisting the physicians. Right? Most of the research, you must be knowing about this, is a common application. Most of the research talks about how to aid the physicians in accurately identifying the abnormality in different parts of the body. Because human perception is always prone to error. Even when teachers, when we come, if our mood is not good, the way in which we teach is going to be completely different. Right? When I get a paper accepted, that day I will be out full energy. Right? It depends. When our mood swings, the output also changes. I'm not going to say it is not completely in that way, but there's a chance. Right? So people now slowly move to AI-based automated systems so that how the physicians can take a decision without any human intervention. This is the case. And the image which I am going to use, or the human body part which I am going to use, which I am going to give you is human brain, and it is about tumor classification. Many images with tumors will be shown to you, and the machine or the AI-based system should automatically identify which type of abnormality that patient is suffering from. And specifically, I have used artificial neural networks for my research work, and in artificial neural networks, I have taken the conventional one, gone through the drawbacks, I have thought for a while how to overcome these drawbacks and gave some solutions which will be useful for the practical applications. So this is the entire flow of my work. So if somebody is doing work in this area, it will be much more useful to you. You must have a database. Whenever we talk about image processing, the simplest or the best thing you should have is a database. Without database, nothing can be done. All the database which I am using in this work are supplied by the doctors. So there's nothing like people will not give you the data. It's not like that. You approach them, you tell your research motive, you ask their problem, right? If it is going in a cyclic way, definitely they will help you in collecting the database. And next I go for a pre-processing step, which is a normal one. Then we go for a feature extraction to find out this. Then we go for the ANN based approaches, where I am going to talk about my modifications. When people talk about neural networks today, immediately the word which comes to their mind is deep learning, right? Deep learning neural networks, because there is a trend going on now which is having a capacity to give efficient results. But what I have done is, if already it is going to give a best result, there is nothing to do with it, right? I have chosen the one who has been discarded, the old conventional neural networks, and I have framed some methods how it can be reinterrupted or reinvented and can be used for the practical applications, right? So very basic one, a simple modifications of training algorithms and mathematical steps. You can avoid some basic drawbacks in neural networks, which is the main reason for putting those in the backyard. So this is my modules, different modules. And whenever brain comes to your mind, immediately it should be MRI, right? Because it consists of soft tissues. Doctors or the physicians will advise you only to go for an MRI scan. Even now, if you are going to do your research, we have an option called as fMRI. It's a bit expensive, but a database can be collected. So the 4 categories I am using are meningioma, glioma, astrocytoma, and metastasis. These are the different types of images. And as you know, if you are working in neural networks, your training data should be different from your testing data. So I have divided some images into training data and some images into testing data. And these are the 4 types of the images. If I am not giving you the title for each figure, you will not be in a position to identify which one is that. Even the physicians will not be able to do that. So the ultimate idea is develop some AI-based systems which can easily assist the physicians in finding out the results. If you are not able to collect images, you can even go to this web page. It's a Canadian University web link where you can download some simulated MR images. All the ground truth, phantoms, everything has been given there. So these are the sample images. And the first step which I am going to do is, you have an image. If it is not clear in the screen, you have an outer ring in that image, right? So that outer ring corresponds to the skull portion. The skull portion also looks exactly similar to that of the tumor portion. In all these images, you can see a clump of white portion. That white portion corresponds to the tumor. So if the skull portion is not removed, some tissues in that skull portion will also act like tumor and it will intervene in your classification system. So the best thing you can do is, you can remove the skull portion which cannot be avoided during the MRI scan. So I have used a series of methods. All these are existing. I have not done anything new in this pre-processing method. We call it as erosion, grade to binary image conversion, connected component analysis, logical conversion of mask. If you are not very good about that, you can take a very good digital image processing book, and all these steps are available there. These are the series of outputs which I am going to present here. The first one is with the skull, and look at your last column. It is free from skull. I have gone through a series of steps, and most importantly, I have given all the individual stages outputs of my process. So you can easily understand that the last column is free from the skull portions. But how much skull has been removed? It is not 100%, right? But anything or even some portion is removed, it is going to be useful for your research work. So from these skull removed images, I am going to extract some mathematical features. So these mathematical features are the things which will characterize the images in the best possible way. Say for example, you want to distinguish myself and Anita Bose, or myself and Dr. Nilanjan, right? There will be some characteristic features which will aid you in identification of these two people. Such features are called as, are used for this approach also. These are mathematical features, angular second movement, contrast, correlation, variance. So many features are available. Different types of features are also available. The features which I have used, the simplest possible thing I have used, and it is called as textural features. It gives you the texture pattern of images. The idea is all the different types of tumor are having different textures. So this is the result which I extracted from the images. You can clearly see all the 4 types. ASM, angular second movement, will be completely different, right? When you look as an image, it may look similar, but when you extract some features, that features are going to be different from each images, which can help the neural network for accurate identification in a later stage. And these are sample results, and I have also done for the non-tumorous region and the tumorous region. Now, all the mathematical features are extracted. Now, these features are given as input to the artificial neural networks for classification. Here comes the core part of our work. So, you must be knowing the general implementation of an artificial neural network, right? You have many layers, and to each layers you must supply the features you have extracted. I have extracted 8 features. You can extract as many features as you like, doesn't matter, right? Give all the features as input to the neural networks. We have a concept called as training, to make the neural network learn about the characteristic features of the images. Then we have a concept called as testing, right? These are the 2 processes which are involved with the artificial neural networks. So once trained, the network will know about all the characteristic features of the images. Then when you give any unknown input image, it can very well say whether this patient is suffering from type A or B or C or D. Now what is the difficulty in these conventional neural networks, right? How much time do you require for studying a subject? Some people say 3 months, some people say 2 months, some people say 1 month, some people will study only the previous day of the exam, right? Depending upon the nature of the study, the quality of the results also will vary. That means, can we do something with this training process to make sure that all the neural networks are independent of training? Right? That is the million-dollar question which we encounter with artificial neural networks. Training sometimes takes a huge time period. If you are working with deep learning, you will be knowing it will take even 1 week for training the best possible networks. You must paste do not disturb the computer. Come on every day, check. Thursday evening the power will go off. Friday again come back, switch on, wait for another week. So what I thought is, we have a conventional training algorithm for all the neural networks. Can I do some mathematical concepts in these neural networks so that it will be more efficient for further classification of the images? These mathematical steps should be easy. Am I right? These are the 2 weight adjustment equations. We call it as weight adjustment equations, the 3rd and the 4th one. The training process is done to make sure that the t plus 1 corresponds to the iteration, because training cannot be done within a single iteration. So what the normal training process will do is, uij, say for example take the 3rd equation, uij t plus 1 is equal to uij t plus some term. Your ultimate aim for the neural network for the training process is make uij t plus 1 equal to uij t. So till that stage reaches, I will be going in an iterative way. For uij t plus 1 is equal to uij. In other words, the current iteration weights should be same as the previous iteration weights. For this, you have to execute all these mathematical steps, which are extremely time consuming, right? But there is another simple way by which you can found it. Can you tell me what is that? Your duty in step number 3 is make uij t plus 1 is equal to uij t. How can you do that? Or in the 4th equation, Vjkt plus 1 is equal to Vjkt. How can you do that? These two terms will be same when the third term becomes 0. Am I correct? Uijt plus 1 is equal to Uijt plus whatever you have, that should be made equal to 0. Right? Alpha is a constant. B is also a constant. You cannot do anything with that. The only option you have is the terms within the bracket. X minus Uij. When x minus Uij can be equal to 0? When x is equal to Uij. Right? There is no need for complex calculations. A simple assignment procedure. Do you know x? Yes. It is nothing but the input features or the input intensity values depending upon your usage of the image. Now what is you have to do? X minus Uij is equal to 0. That means x is equal to Uij. This paper has been published in the topmost neural network journal called as Neurocomputing. It is one of the oldest journal from Elsevier, right? And this concept is very simple, but it's proven much more effective. You can avoid all the unwanted training process in the normal conventional neural networks. So the accuracy which I have got from the normal conventional neural network or the counter propagation network is 92.5, and the time is 1280, right? And this depends again on my processor. The number of parameters are there. Based on my condition, it is 1820 CPU seconds. But when you go for your modified counter propagation neural network, as I told you, if you go for a simple assignment procedure, the concept is very simple, right? X minus U is equal to 0, X is equal to U. If you know X, you can easily find out the weights. And the accuracy has been improved to a larger extent. Again, this is tested only for this database. When the database changes, there is a chance that the result may also vary. And look at the time period, right? Your repeated iterative steps, the mathematical steps is not necessary. You can go for a simple assignment procedure by which you can find out the weights which you should use for the testing process of the neural networks. And the conclusion is, your modified network works well in comparison to your conventional networks. The same concept. We have another neural network called as coherent neural network. How many of you are working in neural networks? No one? You can go to the basics with the textbooks, right? I'm just brushing all these things. If you have some interest towards that, you can go through the textbooks. Again, the same process. You need to find out the weights. And the equation for coherent neural network is W nu is equal to W volt plus a term. How can you make W nu is equal to W volt? People are going for this, again, training procedure. Not necessary, right? Make the third term equal to 0. How can you make it equal to 0? X is equal to W. It is going to be much more simple. And when you compare your conventional coherent neural networks, it is going to give a value of 86%. Your time period is relatively lesser than counter propagation because the number of layers in CPN is more, but in coherent it is very less. 650 seconds, and it is going to be less than 1 CPU seconds when you go for your modified coherent neural network. These are my contributions which I thought we can make use of for practical applications of neural networks, just to attack the time period of the neural networks and improve the accuracy. This is another type of my modified neural network where I found another drawback in coherent neural networks. The idea is there is no stopping criteria for coherent neural networks. We simply dependent on the number of iterations to stop or to make the neural networks converge. Again, I have hybridized two methods. Make the coherent neural network combined with the Hopfield neural network, included the convergence condition of Hopfield neural network, and brought out the results. These are completely mathematical in nature, and this equation, step number 6, is based on Lyapunov energy function, which will not be available in the normal textbooks. This equation I traced back from at least 10 reference papers. From first paper's reference, I got a clue, went for the second paper, third paper, fourth paper. Finally, I got the original version of Hopfield. I think it's the paper from 1978. It is only typewritten or it's not very clear. But he has given two equations, one for the discrete case, one for the continuous case. In the textbooks, which you will see is all with a discrete case, right? So if you are able to explore something from the earlier literatures, you can do some innovations. The same equation has been used here, and the convergence condition has been derived based on the difference in error value, derivative, and finally you will have your training and testing process. The first two cases, remember, I have made training as completely zero. But in the third method, I have not made training as zero, but I have made or included a convergence condition which will make sure that training is more accurate. The accuracy percentage has been increased, but unfortunately what happens? That you have to afford some computational complexity, because covenant is simple, but because of want of high accuracy, you are also including the Hopf field. Definitely it is going to be complex and it is also time consuming. It depends upon the number of iterations you use, depends upon the number of neurons you use in each network, and depends on various many cases. And these are the time period 990 seconds. And just to give you a comparison of all the tables, right? Classification accuracy has been improved. The last case seems to be better, but the last case has a drawback of computational complexity. So depending upon your necessity and application, make sure you have a work which will be suitable in terms of both accuracy and computational complexity. I have also gone for a segmentation process. Classification is different from segmentation. Classification is differentiating myself and them. Segmentation is extracting my nose, extracting my mouth, extracting my ears within an image. Between an images is called as classification. Segmentation also, I have used the same thing. All these are completely mathematical in nature. This is not the right time to give all the inputs to you. If you have time, you can refer to some of my journal papers which are there in the Google. And these are the conventional algorithms of backpropagation. And what I did is, people in the conventional backpropagation neural network come from left to right. But what I did is, I went from right to left. I have pre-initialized an error value. People say error value should be equal to 0. But never ever you are going to get an error value of 0. It is not practically possible. So I have pre-initialized an error value of 0.01. And based on the 0.01 error value, I came back in the conventional neural network of BPN, find out the weight values of different layers, and I have used in my approach. Right? A simple one, you initialize 0.01, and from this you can find the output value. From this output you can find the net value, and from the net value you can find the input. Input, net, output, all are interrelated in the conventional neural networks. These are the phantoms and the original images, and these are the real-time images which are supplied by doctors. Right? In this case, the type is not important, but the quantity is important. Even if you miss a simple pixel, that pixel, if it is cancerous, may grow and affect the human being. So classification is important. At the same time, segmentation is also important. And B shows my output and C shows the ground truth which are given by doctors. I cannot say efficiency is 100%, but I have tried to match the level to the state-of-the-art results. And these are some of the quantitative results. If time permits, you can go through that. Next, I went for fuzzy logic-based image segmentation also. Right? The first part is about neural networks. The second part is about fuzzy logic concepts. So in fuzzy logic, one of the simplest algorithm or more used algorithm is fuzzy C-means algorithm. How many of you have heard about that? Fuzzy C-means algorithm. Many would have used that, right? It is used for clustering or segmentation purpose. Again, you give all the input intensity values, you will find the membership values, you will find the update the cluster centers, use it in a repetitive process, and again it is going to be time consuming. Can we make sure that the complete clustering is done in a simpler way or a time efficient way? So here what I have done is a very simple concept, is a conventional one. A simple concept, don't give all the inputs as input to this algorithm. Don't give all the inputs as input to the algorithm. Or in other words, don't ask each and everyone in this room about a question. Right? What I am going to do is, I am going to take only some samples. All the like-minded people will have the same motive, same objective, and they are going to be focused towards a simple area. If I take a sample from them, If I process that single sample, the membership values of that sample can be distributed among all the people because all are going to fall under the same, right? This is the concept I have used. And how to find out all the people are within the same cluster or a group based on the distance measures. I will find the distance between myself and another person. If our distance is very, very less, automatically we are going to say we are close to each other. Likewise, I will group all the inputs of my input pixel intensity values of my image into several clusters. If my input is 65/536 size, after clustering, it will be only 60 or 300. I will pick only one from each cluster or group, which will come only around to 60 data instead of 65/536 data. The same 60 will be again given to the conventional FCM algorithm. The same process will be done. The only difference is data reduction or dimensionality reduction. So I have done using Euclidean distance. Hope at least you would have used Euclidean distance in your work. And I have got some results. And here the problem is, I am not going to have a zero value distance value. So the threshold range comes into picture. What must be the difference between myself and another person? If I say the difference is 0.5, are both of us are neighbors? Or is the difference between both of us 0.75 or both of us are neighbors? So it depends. So I have used a different threshold range, and for different threshold range I have got all the results. Right? So if the threshold range is very large, say for example 199 to 255, the number of clusters will be very less, but the time will be less. If the number of clusters is more, time also will be. Depending upon your application, you can choose your own initiative. These are the results. If you see my third column is my output, it is not exactly matching with the fourth column, right? You see unwanted pixels also seen in my output. So how can we improve that? Instead of Euclidean distance, I have gone for another approach, which we call it as matching dice approach. You can Google it. It's also a simple approach to find out who are all close. What are all the pixels which are having a closer values? We have a formula. We'll have a 2x2 column, and we'll find out how many combinations of ones and zeros. That means each pixel should be converted into a binary value, and from the binary value, we will be calculating two parameters m and d. You find 1 minus m and 1 minus d. If they are close to each other, then you can say they are of the same class. Then the same procedure should be repeated. Take a sample, give it to your approach, again run the algorithm and check the results seems to be better, right? That means instead of using the normal Euclidean distance, if you use some other methods to find out the closer data, that is going to give you a better result. But still it is not 100%, it is only around 90 or 90, which shows there is scope for further improvement in these approaches. The time period or the data set, everything is given here. I will leave the PPT with Deepak or Ashish. You can collect from them if you are interested. So different modifications. What I am trying to say is, as a researcher, using an already existing method for an already existing application is not bad, but it is not good, right? As a researcher, if you want to have your own contribution, and morning Mr. Amitabh was talked about how for publication, but $1 million question everybody will ask is, I know about all how to write a paper, what should I write? Right? What should I write? Before knowing what should you write, you must have done some quality works. For doing some quality works, you must have your own innovative thoughts. Go and look around your environment. There are millions of problems existing, right? Observe the problems, right? Check whether it is in your scope. Find out or think about a possible solution. I am not going to say this is a solution. It is one of the possible solutions. Try to implement that and you can get a very good results. And these are some of the references I have used. Thank you very much. Now finally, right? Thank you very much for your patience. If you need any details, I am always open for helping you or in any form of collaborations. You can contact organizers. I am in touch with them. Thank you very much for inviting me once again, because I am from far south. right? At least you will answer yes to this question. Have you ever known about a place called as Kanyakumari or Cape Comorin? Happy, you know this, right? I am from the same place, right? And traveling from there to Delhi is really tough, right? I have taken time for that. Make use of all these things. If you feel stuck in any part of your research in this area, you can always feel free to contact me. Thank you. Yes.
How have you implemented, in which language?
I have used MATLAB. But I want to once again tell you, MATLAB is not the only thing which you can use this. If you are good in C++, or if you are good in Python, or if you are good in R, or whatever may be the language, you can implement it. I know MATLAB, so I am using that. It's not the tool which we are using, the output which we are going to generate. So no need to shift from one language to another language. Instead, put your time on how to develop the algorithms. That will be more useful. Any more queries? Maybe I can have 2 minutes.
If the approximation comes between two, if they are likely, both are probably the same values, which you are going to judge between those two values?
When there's a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
The chance of a tiebreaker is very, very low, but it's not completely ruled out. At that time, there is no other option. You have to randomly choose one of these. That's why the accuracy is not going to be 100%. And one more thing, doing medical research is not that easy. It is very, very difficult to convince the doctors. When I go and approach them, immediately they will ask, Jude, are you going to say that we are useless? Does your machine is going to identify these things? Then I have to talk in such a way that I will not understand anything. Then finally they say, okay, you take the database and you should come again for validation, right? You have to sweat a lot to have a collaborator as a physician, but once if you get that, I am sure you can do something or do some contribution towards the medical field. Thank you very much. Any queries?
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your profound knowledge with us. Your session was full of zeal and valuable information. Now I request Shubhra ma'am and Dr. D.S. Jaggi sir to kindly present a certificate of appreciation to Dr. Jude Hemant as a token of appreciation. Thank you. Please give them a big round of applause.